It's time for an apple fritter. Here's your host, Jimmy Apple.
Welcome to another episode of An Apple a Day's The Fritter. I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. Today's episode is Charcot foot. That's C-H-A-R-C-O-T. Today's episode is about a disease that played a very big part in my life. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to tell you how it affected me. Charcot foot is a rare but serious condition that affects persons with peripheral neuropathy, especially those with diabetes. Charcot foot affects the bones, joints, and soft tissue of the foot or ankle. The bones become weak and can break, and the joints in the foot or ankle can dislocate. If not caught in the earliest stage, the joints in the foot collapse and the foot eventually becomes deformed. A deformed foot can cause pressure sores to develop in the foot or ankle. An open wound with the foot deformity can lead to an infection and even amputation. Charcot foot develops in persons who have peripheral neuropathy. This condition, in which the nerves in the lower legs and the feet have been damaged, the damage causes a loss of sensation in the feet. In the early stages, the foot is red, feels warm to the touch, and there is significant swelling of the extremities. Researchers have not found one single cause for Charcot foot, but there are certain known events that create the right condition for it to develop. One common known event is an unrecognized sprain or injury. Because the individual has peripheral neuropathy, they cannot feel pain or other sensations, and the injury can go unnoticed. If a broken bone in the foot or ankle is not correctly treated, the deformity can worsen, lead to foot sores and infection. Charcot foot has been seen as a condition following organ transplants in patients with diabetes. This is due to the use of drugs to prevent organ rejection, which also have the side effects of causing bone loss and fractures. When the midfoot is involved in Charcot foot, the arch collapses, which rounds the bottom of the foot. This is called rocker bottom foot deformity. Depending on the location of the bone break, the toes can start to curve under, like claws, or the ankle can become deformed and unstable. In the early stages, Charcot foot is difficult to diagnose. X-rays are often normal. If the X-rays and laboratory tests are normal, Charcot foot is diagnosed by knowing the signs of the conditions. Charcot foot is suspected in persons who have diabetes and peripheral neuropathy and the following signs: a red, hot, swollen foot without a foot ulcer, and an increased skin temperature in the affected foot compared to the other foot. Early diagnosis and treatment can prevent more damage and avoid deformity and other complications. Treatment has three goals: take the weight off the foot, treat the bone disease, usually with a cast, and supplements are sometimes used, and prevent new foot fractures. The first most important treatment is rest or to take the weight off the affected foot, also called offloading. In the early stages of Charcot foot, offloading helps prevent inflammation and stops the condition from getting worse and prevents deformity. Protected weight-bearing walking in a boot in later stages can prevent complications from existing deformity and avoid new deformity. Offloading may involve putting the foot into a cast, which protects it and keeps it from moving. The patient usually wears a series of casts or removable cast walker over a total of 8 to 12 weeks. Crutches, knee walker, or a wheelchair are used to avoid putting any weight on the affected foot. The cast is changed several times as the swelling in the foot goes down. A cast stays on the foot until the redness, swelling, and heat are resolved. After the cast is removed, the patient is given a prescription for footwear. Prescription orthopedic footwear properly fits the foot and relieves pressure points to prevent repeat injury and ulcers. A common device used is a Charcot restraint orthotic walker, or a crow walker. The doctor may also recommend changes in the patient's activity to avoid further trauma to the feet. Surgery is recommended to those patients who have severe ankle and foot deformity that are unstable and at high risk for developing foot ulcer. In addition, if the deformity makes braces and orthotics difficult to use, surgery may be indicated. After surgery, the patient will have to avoid putting full weight on the Charcot foot for an extended period of time. All people with Charcot foot must be dedicated to wearing protective foot gear and taking extra care of their feet for the rest of their lives. Education of the patient and family members about preventive foot care and signs to watch for is an important part of preventing future problems. Deformity in any part of the foot or ankle can cause skin ulcers from the bone pressing against the shoe or the ground. When Charcot foot affects the ankle, the joint may become unstable or floppy because the tissue has replaced the bone in the joint. This so-called floppy foot also can cause ulcers. Ulcers are often difficult to heal due to complications of diabetes, poor circulation in the foot, being on your feet for long periods of time, and the development of infections. As an infected ulcer that does not heal can be limb-threatening and even result in amputation of the foot or even the leg. Now, as I said, I had Charcot foot, and I also had an ulcer on my big toe that looked like a blister. And when it broke, it looked like a scene out of Psycho. But we knew the day that the bone in my ankle broke because my wife and I were in a store. Now, I didn't feel it break, but we both heard it. And when I went to the doctor because of all my other medical problems, the doctor said I would never survive the surgery that was needed. And they had to amputate my leg. But they amputated below the knee. And when they did, I got my prosthetic and I was able to walk with it. But what had happened was I had an osteomyelitis that couldn't heal. And they had to amputate again. And they had to amputate all the way up to my hip. The Charcot foot is nothing to play around with. It's a terrible disease. I just wanted to share that with you. But thank you for being here today. And remember, no matter what, things can always be worse. That's right. Right now there's somebody somewhere wishing that they were in your position. So things can always be worse, my friend. Remember that always. Hey, do me a favor. Show people today that not everybody is bad. Make them smile. Just smile at them. Say hello. Say good morning, good afternoon, have a pleasant evening. Whatever. Make them smile. That's all. Hey, you've been listening to an Apple Fritter. My name is Jimmy Apple, and I want to remind you, a new episode comes out every day at 4 a.m. That's right, we're up early, baking a new fritter just for you. Have a great day today, my friends, and I'll talk to you again in the morning.
Join Jimmy tomorrow for another Apple Fritter. In the meantime, stop over at our YouTube group page, Living with a Disability, join in the conversation and make some new friends. See you next time.